Hey there everyone, today I have a bit of an interesting video for you guys concerning a secret bow tech that I've been keeping to myself for pretty much the past year. I basically use this tech to play bow builds on a budget. You know, a lot of people see bow builds as something that are very high investment, and they don't tend to play them until they can invest 100x or upwards. And I know that there's a popular version of early hit that's been going around that can kind of get started on a budget, but it's still very, very rough. And a lot of the reason why bow builds do come at such a high price is because whilst they're clear, it's typically very good. The single target damage is always lacking. You rely on Barrage, and Barrage is a skill that pretty much requires you to stand still and focus fire the boss. If you don't have enough single target DPS to kill the boss very quickly, you're almost always going to die. So that means that the entry level cost for bows tends to be quite high, otherwise you basically are spending upwards of, a minute dancing around the boss, getting a few hits in here and there. The tech that we're going to be talking about today is the inclusion of Ballista support, right? So I'm only going to talk about how this relates to early hit, although it does apply to cold dex bow builds. I've been using them for the most part. I only recently started playing early hit, but since early hit is so popular, I'm going to be talking about how it applies to that, and then through this video, you'll be able to see how you can apply it to a cold dex bow build. Okay, so I've prepared a spreadsheet, a video, and a couple of PoBs, and I think we're just going to get straight into it. I'm not going to do a long video this time. I'll just start off with the video here. So as you can see, that was a pretty fast fight. There's really not much to say there. I'm just sort of like mousing over my gems so that you can see that there's no awakened skill gems or any awakened support gems or anything, and we have pretty basic gear, like we have +1 frenzy gloves, nothing special going on with the rings, amulet is Zoph's blood, we have an attack crit chest, dark ray vectors, the belt we've equipped is just to get enough strength to not wear a headhunter, we have an enchanted Asenath, and I've unequipped the bottled faith since you're not going to be running that in a league start situation, so I just put all this together and made a video of it just so that you could see specifically like what it looks like at the absolute most budget level of gameplay. To the PoBs. So all we've done really between these two these PoBs are for my current character, the higher level investment one, and the only difference between the two of them is that I have replaced inspiration support with ballista totem. I have replace the spike point quiver, which has crit chance, with an artillery quiver, which has totem placement speed. And then on the tree, I have replaced the Ellie pen nodes with the totem nodes here. So 4 points for 4 points. Basically, oh, and by the way, these 4 points are basically mandatory for this setup to work, right? But there is math, and we're going to go through that. So this is how the math plays out. I just wanted to sort of show you the raw numbers, and then these are the normalized values, so you can sort of see how it compares. So when, on my current character, I'm using the Ballista Barrage setup, I have 7 million DPS while I'm moving, right? Whereas with Barrage, I have 5.8 million DPS when I'm attacking. So on one hand, if I was using Barrage, I'd be rooting myself in place, like CCing myself basically, and only dealing 5.8 million damage. Whereas with Ballistas, I can put them down and then move around, and my Mirage Archer and my totems are going to basically deal 7 million damage. So even more damage, but I can move away to a safe distance. I don't have to get myself into any danger, right? And then when I'm attacking, we add about another mil, because the beauty of totems is that I don't have to actively do anything, so I can then start using my clear skill to add extra DPS onto it if I wanted to trigger my utilities via Asenaths, all sorts of stuff, right? So you can see one of the big weaknesses with Barrage here is that Barrage only benefits from your Mirage Archer from your clear skill while you are moving. So you're dealing about 5% of your normal damage while moving with Barrage compared to your 400% while you're attacking. Whereas with Ballistas, while you're moving, you're getting about 20% more damage on top of your Barrage attacking DPS. And then while you're attacking with Ballistas, you're dealing 37% more damage compared to your Barrage. So this is a clear winner numerically, right? No matter what you're doing with totems, it just comes out way better than Barrage. I've been showing this off on stream past couple of days. I'm sure everyone who's tuned in stream has pretty much seen how crazy this is. When you think about it, it's kind of insane that a lot of people have well, pretty much everyone has just allowed this to fly completely under the radar, and no one's picked up on it. It seems like such an obvious change. We were only moving around 4 skill points. It just, I think part of why this may have happened is because a lot of people don't like totems, and a lot of people just jump straight into the build when they're at high budget, and they've never really thought about bows as a sort of league starter. No, as in the top theory crafters haven't thought about bows as a league starter. Another thing that contributes to it is that GGG quietly buffed Ballista support last patch. Now, I was already using Ballista support in this way because it allows you to sort of, get away with actually having boss DPS while moving around and sort of stuff. It's a much safer playstyle, much more consistent DPS, but for some reason they buffed it. I have no idea why. And then this league they introduced artillery quivers, which, again, not really sure why. Now, as for artillery quivers, these give you 30% totem placement speed as an implicit. I think that's personally totally worth it because we can get our totems out really fast. I believe it takes, so look at my current totem placement time, right? 0.21 seconds. So it takes about 0.8 of a second to get all 4 of my totems out using this quiver. If I'm not using the quiver, then it takes a full second, right? Now it's totally up to you whether you want to give up 30% crit or not, but if you do want to use the quiver, you may have a problem where you can't find a good quiver. And I'm just going to show you real quick how to craft your own quiver like I have. Offhand quiver. Yep. Artillery. We need a Shaper influence. You can do it on Warlord, but I would recommend Shaper due to the better weighting. Right, metallic, corroded, and serrated. And now we're just going to craft on it. And as you can see, each time we're going to get like fairly good stuff, and the frequency with which we hit +1 arrow is decently high. Okay, so see, we already hit, so what, 6 slots. We already hit +1 arrows with some crit multi. Obviously, you wouldn't keep this, you would just keep rolling. We hit, look here now, we've hit +1 arrows, we've hit tier 2 life, maim chance, which isn't really that big a deal, but we hit tier 1 accuracy and some crit chance, and we still also have a prefix slot to craft something else if you wanted. We'll do it. We'll just do a few more so you can sort of see what you're in for, right? Life, crit multi, accuracy, crit multi, crit chance. Yeah, I mean, you would skip over these because you're going for the +1 arrow, but as you can see, the frequency with which you hit decent stuff is fairly high. Yep, here's another one. So we've got mana gained on hit, which is really good, blind on hit, max life, +1 arrow, crit multi, crit chance. Alright, so as you can see, this combination of fossils is very, very strong for crafting these quivers. All you need to do is buy yourself a Shaper artillery quiver base if you want to make your own. If you don't really want to make your own, you can just get the spike point quiver and use that, and you can buy some that are like this good for a reasonable price. Okay, so that's pretty much the video. I would really highly recommend using this. Just a short disclaimer though, I wouldn't recommend doing this if you're already in the tens of millions of DPS. Given the fact that it's going to take about almost a second to get your totems out, if you have enough DPS to just kill a boss within a second, there's no point summoning totems at that point. At that point, you can just run Barrage with your Inspiration support rather than with Ballista support, and you can just nuke the boss down within a second and be done with it, right? So, yeah, this really is a game changer. You know, like, I'm not trying to clickbait people. This basically allows you to start playing bows at, you know, like a tiny fraction of the budget that you would normally be used to playing them at, right? I used to have to save up 50 to 60x before I could play a bow build, and with this I found myself saving up 20x before I could get in and start doing tier 16 maps. You know, this absolutely destroys Conquerors. It's what I showed you again was just like the budget version. My build now has, you know, like 8 million DPS, right? So I think it's more than doubled from the video that you saw, so I'm already at the point where I can start using Barrage, but we're still using Ballistas anyway because it's nice, especially for Conquerors, for Cirrus. You just put them down and you run around and you avoid mechanics, you stay alive, and your totems do pretty much all the work. It is just absolutely mind-blowing that people haven't picked up on this because it's a very quick and simple change that drastically improves bow builds, you know, pretty much altogether, right? I'm just going to wrap the video up there. I'm not going to get into how it applies to cold. I shot tornado shot builds, but I will just say if you, without going into all the theory crafting, you can just do Barrage totems, or you can do Scourge Arrow totems. Up to you, whichever one, but figure it out for yourself, because I didn't want this to be too long of a video. I just wanted to sort of share this little trick with people that I've been doing already on stream, and, you know, yeah. Anyway, have a good one, guys. I will catch you again shortly, hopefully.